Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Jessica Live podcast. My name is Jessica Andrade. On today's topic, I'm going to be talking about the time has changed. The reason that I chose in this topic because I thought it will be an interesting topic for the younger generations and for those that are diagnosed with learning disabilities. A chance to get educated on what they missed when they were in school and weren't able to take it for other reasons. On today's topic, I am going to be talking about historical pastime, which I'm going to be starting with the stories on the Bible stories before and after the time of Christ. I'm going to be talking about during the medieval times, starting with the stories of King Arthur, to the time with William Shakespeare, who wrote one of his famous plays known as Romeo and Juliet. I am also going to be walking through during the time of the pioneer life, through the American pioneer life, which is during the time of the Little House on the Prairie, and I'm going to be talking about during the time of the Canadian pioneer life, which I'm going to be talking about during the time of Anne of Green Gables. I am also going to be talking about during the time of the World War II, during the time when Anne Frank and her family had to go hiding during the time of the World War II, during the persecution of the Nazi Party and Hitler when he was around as Chancellor. I am also going to be talking about during the time when King George V became king, as his wife Queen Elizabeth I became queen, who their daughter Elizabeth II was princess who was studying to become queen to take her father's place as queen. And I am also going to talk about during the time when the three rock and roll singers Ritchie Valens, Buddy Holly, J.P. Richardson, who is known for the Big Bopper. I am also going to be talking about during the time of the Latina singer known as the Mexican Madonna, who's known for Selena, with her songs that she sings from the heart. I am also going to be talking about during the time when the draw prints for the famous shipwreck known as the Titanic has been improved by the White Star Line. And I'm going to talk about during the time of the sinking on April 15, 1912. And I am going to talk about during the time in the New York City and when the Twin Towers had collapsed in New York City. I am also going to be talking about during the time in the Canadian history when Terry Fox had run across Canada on one leg to raise money for cancer research. And I am also going to be talking about during the time when the animation artist known as Walt Disney, who started drawing for the animation of Mickey Mouse, and his legacy of Disney World turned to a theme park all over the states, like for instance Paris, Florida, and other regions. For this podcast, I am going to be breaking into two parts. For instance, for the part 1 of the podcast, I'm going to be talking about is the Bible stories, and for the part 2 would be on the historical pastime that will be making into more episodes for you to listen to, more understanding for the younger generations and for those who are really interested in to listen to the podcast that I'm going to be working on and talking about on this episode. And I hope everyone would enjoy the podcast and would be able to learn more what you need to know about the podcast and everything. And if you want to subscribe, you can subscribe on Facebook or on YouTube. And looking forward to having more podcasts to come. And if you want to find some more podcasts, is the first podcast that I've done called Jessica and the Backyard Nature. So please enjoy that, and I'll be starting with the first episode of Jessica Life Podcast, The Time Has Changed, Part 1, The Bible Stories. Thank you so much. Ciao. Bye.